Pretty beautiful. Wow. Share with me what you'd like me to talk about today, please. Never mind.
How about
Shining star.
Stillness.
how about knowing when to trust you or how to trust your intuition?
That's never losing sight in God.
Fear. How about fear of relationships? Some of you are asking, let's weave all these together. Fear of relationships. Forgiveness. Okay, that's good. Thanks. The song we shared before the service, for those of you watching online, was Shining Star by Earth, Wind, and Fire. You're a shining star no matter who you are, shining bright to see what you can truly be. You know, just fantastic affirmation if you think about it. I really love the sacred reading this morning, and every morning, I think every Sunday, our sacred readings are just profound. We ask our readers to sit with that, look, feel, be guided as to the most profound, relevant reading for the Sunday. So even that, we don't do things just gratuitously or simple. We don't just read standard kinds of more simple, simple prayers that some groups use or sacred readings. We want them to channel the deepest possible. We want our musicians to play at the deepest level possible. And it all sets the stage for something, something more miraculous in our lives. And part of what I just heard Robert share, sort of had to do with that concept of, if you think of God as distant, then God is distant because that's what you believe. And I think people forget the concept of the mother aspect of God. Its good analogy would be most of us grew up in an age where, and it's not to be sexist, so get over that, where dad went to work and mom took care of the kids. That was kind of the thing for many thousands of years. And it's kind of like that. The father aspects holds space and holds bliss in heaven. Not a location, but it holds bliss. The mother aspect of God said, well, look, our children are running away from home. They're going off into a world of make-believe where they can believe that they're separate and afraid and struggling and looking for relationships and all these things. And the father says to the mother, well, what would you do? She said, I'm going to go in there with them. I'm going to go and live with them in that world. But the mother is incapable of forgetting who she really is. The children gave up free will. They used their free will to say, I'm going to give up free will. I'm going to start living under the dictates of something else that we manufactured called the ego. So we live in this strange space, this strange place, looking like we're trying to, even forgiveness, one of you asked about. These are all things that when we remember who we are, you won't be asking how to hook up. You won't be asking who to forgive. You'll be beyond all of that. When you're one with everything, you're not looking for anything, which is one of our fears. So I want to keep the illusionary world because I still want stuff. I understand we're one with everything, but I got to have my coffee in the morning to wake up. There won't be a morning. You'll always be awake. Well, no, because I like to sleep too. But you won't need sleep because you'll be blissfully, peacefully in a restful state all the time. Oh no, but I like anxiety. I want challenges to overcome, and whatever else that's insane human thinking. So it's really hard. Sadly, it's hard for human beings to really grasp what it means to be God. So we're playing with this a day at a time, We practice forgiveness one day, and then a week and a half later, seemingly unrelated, we woke up and we felt kind of nice today, not realizing it's from forgiveness you did proverbial yesterday. You didn't just wake up in a good mood. And you shouldn't start crediting the thing you drank this morning. Oh, wow, that really does fire me up. I've never had a sip of coffee, and I don't feel tired, ever. You know what I mean? It's like, like I've never had coffee. So when people say, I got to have my coffee, you have to have your belief that you need coffee. Everything's our beliefs. You don't really need coffee. You're God. How did that happen? I'm God, but I gotta have my espresso. It doesn't make sense. God, they're mutually exclusive concepts to say I am and I need. If I am, there is no need. That just cuts that right out. But that's the human condition. All these concepts, Stillness, one of you asked about. Stillness. Everything we want comes from God. And the only reason we don't remember our state of godness is because we still keep a certain number of resentments between us and that remembrance. So technically, forgiveness is the only thing that gets us home. And once we're home, we don't need forgiveness anymore because it ended yesterday. That's why before we go home in the book of Revelation, you have the day of the last judgment, where people are telling you that's when everybody goes to hell. We've already lived in hell away from God for all these years. We're done. That's redundant. You're going to go to another hell? No. The last judgment means I'm done judging. And when I'm done judging, I get to go home. I got to forgive the judgments I did have, and then I get to go home. So why aren't we there if that's such a simple concept? Because we're tyrants. The ego is tyrannical. It's going to do everything to convince us that we're afraid of our light more than our darkness. It's going to, make us afraid of God, afraid of light. God is light. And when we recognize we're light workers, what does that mean? We're anchoring the presence of God. I made up that term in the 80s, light workers. And people now use it as though they made it up, but they're changing the definition, which is really weird. Don't change the definition of my word. Oh no, light workers, man. It means, and they start, it's when you're one with the Pleiadians. No, that's not in my definition, and it's my word. My word, okay? Light worker. You think Michael's going to think light worker means you get to go to the 4th and a half dimension and hang out with the Pleiadians? That's not Michael. You know me. Light, capital L, God. I go all the way with things. So a light worker is a God worker. And light work simply means to anchor the presence of God. But the people that are anti-God have to come up with other definitions to that word. Well, it's my word. Leave it alone. I know they're going to do it anyway because that's humans, but no. Know the real meaning. It's about anchoring the presence of God. Light workers. And it's only work while we're on the planet, where it seems like we need to work to anchor light. Once we're beyond that and back home, there's no more work to do. Everybody gets to retire from their spiritual electrician jobs. Light workers, So this beautiful presence, anchoring the presence of God. That word, anchoring, like to pull down. The word prayer, if in its crude definition, is capture, to capture God. But it's the same. In the Far East, there's a little better definition when you do a mantra or a yantra. A yantra is like, you've heard of mantras when you're reciting like a prayer. But a yantra is when like mandalas. You've seen mandalas, right? But you can create a mandala like on the ground, like the way some pagans would do a pentagram, except it's twisted into evil purposes for some. You create a yantra. What that means is whether you do it literally with crystals and a certain configuration and like a sand painting on the ground, let's say, as an example. The purpose of that yantra is to capture God. But really, the word capture is sort of weird. We trapped God. What you're really doing is you're anchoring divine presence. And you should be doing this in your sacred bedchamber when you're making love. You should be doing this in your kitchen. Things should be much more conscious, our decision making. Everywhere you go, first of all, you're God. Forgetting, yeah, God's with amnesia, for sure. But it doesn't change that we are the presence of God. One way that I can wake up from my amnesia is to get in the practice of owning my daily thoughts, words, and deeds. I'm here to anchor the presence of God. Capture is the words for some, prayer, to capture God. It means to grab hold and pull it here. I choose to make this a holy place. And every thought, humans, man, what's with these people? They seem to have an issue with anchoring the presence of God. They don't seem to have an issue leaving their human presence. Clothes on the floor, smells in a room, like dishes in the sink. We're always leaving a presence. But humans have no problem leaving crude and grotesque presence. Muddy shoes walking on the carpet in the house. Oh, they were here. That's what they do. Leave lights on, leave doors open or whatever. We don't have to be spiritual slobs. Like spiritual meaning, leaving this deep spiritual or psychological statement. They've been here. You just know they were here. How do you know? You can smell them. They left the doors open. The lights are on. You just know somebody was in the room. But that's not how it's supposed to be. It's supposed to be you can feel the countenance. You can feel the presence. Something holy is happening. Which is why we say here, don't just have musicians. Don't just have sacred readings that aren't very sacred. We really have to hold that stamp in place. And our employees and volunteers, everybody has to be part of that because they are part of that. I want no incongruence to that. But if incongruence happens, our job is to forgive, not to say, no, why are incongruences? It's not about being obsessive or, anal about it. It's about setting your intention. So don't just choose a song that lifts spirits, even if it's a deep, slower song. Does it make a statement that makes people's hearts do this as opposed to this? The concept of bridging means to hear where somebody's at, say, okay, I got it, and then adding another thought. Bridging is connecting, which is what the mother does. The divine mother says, you guys, you folks, my children, you believe you're separate from the Father or aspect of God or heaven or whatever. And my job is to bridge you home constantly. Here's the divine. Here's where you think you are. Can we move in this direction? Well, mother, I just don't manifest really good relationships. They're always like this. And all she can ever do is, and so it is. She's actually not going to make you have a better relationship than your mind is able to understand. If your consciousness is a 2 on a 0 to 10 scale, she'll say, and so it is. No, but I want a 4, but you're a 2, beloved. If you would like a 4 relationship, why don't you ramp up your consciousness? No. Well, and so it is. I just want to actually complain about relationships not being better. Because if only I could have somebody that was an 8. Oh, but you're a 2. But I want an 8, then be an 8. I don't know how to be an 8. Love, forgive. No. My last partnership ruined my life. I'm not forgiving them. Oh, and so it is again. Mr. 2. So she can only reflect our changes and introduce us to other options. She gets to cheat. She mirrors perfectly our consciousness, but she's allowed to say, psst, and there's another option. Most human beings, I don't want any other options. I just want to complain about what I don't have and long for it. Right? Long for it in so many different forms. If only, I'd be happy if only. The if onlys, which is one of the most popular axioms of the ego, if only means I don't already have, which is all about the 10 commandments. Thou shalt not covet means, why would you? That's what it means. People hear the old school teacher, thou shalt not covet. What God's really saying is, I wouldn't bother. Why would you covet? See, God's casual. God's hanging out with us, especially since it's really the mother that communicates with us. Why would you covet? What does that mean? That means you think you don't have something that you actually have. So why would you covet? Just own it. When you see a quality in someone else that you don't like, learn from it and see what it's triggering, heal, and now you're a better person. When you see something you do like, why sit around and wish you had it? That lowers your consciousness. Just become it. Own it. Ramp up to an 8. You'll have an 8 relationship. That's not true because I'm really amazing and I'm spiritual and I'm creative and people just don't get it. you're going to have to take some honest, deep looks at that. Because it's impossible for you to not have mirrored in your life a replica of your consciousness. There's not an accident to that. It's not like, I know that there are no accidents, but I only say that when it's convenient. Because I know there are none except in my life. Because I know that somehow the stork dropped the wrong child into my house. I know that was one of the neighbor's child. Oh my God, the way they act, or my partner, I asked for soulmate, they gave me cellmate. They just didn't get the translation quite right. It's somebody else's fault. You want a soulmate, but you still imprison yourself in so many different ways. All you're going to get is a cellmate, someone that's karmically bound into prison with you. And this will get a little happier and more inspiring in a moment, I'm sure. Just as you were reaching. Can we add the word plummet onto your list of requests? I don't remember saying plummet. So the world, it mirrors us. It mirrors perfectly. The mother cannot make mistakes. And that doesn't mean we're bad people, because you can be a relatively wonderful person. You're still going to have lessons. There's mine that I still might have to work on, but there's ours, and I'm part of the us. So as long as there's collective consciousness, and there is nothing but that really, as long as there's collective consciousness, there's collective lessons. So even if I've worked a lot on, let's say, abandonment, we still have abandonment. So I'm still going to be bound to have to work on abandonment issues. And you can sit around going, I don't get it. Why am I still, I've worked on that. Why is that still happening? Relax. Did you think all humanity is done with abandonment? Well, no, they're not, but I am. But you're part of they. So if it's in front of you, just work on it instead of analyzing and trying to find the culprit on who created your need to have to work on abandonment. Just work on it. It's up, but it shouldn't be, but it is. So work it. Work what's coming up. To me, it's a brilliant concept, an idea of anchoring. You walk into a room. Understand, this isn't what we think it is. When you walk into a seat in the Senate, when you walk out of a stadium where there's a concert or a game going, everywhere we go, we're bringing either the awareness that I am as God created me, or I am not. There's actually not neutral, believe it or not. A lot of humans would like to think that they're neutral. That's why in the book of Revelation, you hear this description. John the Beloved is describing this meditation he's in where he awakens Christ consciousness, or it's awakened in him. And one of the things he says, because he's talking about the 7 seals, which is the 7 chakras, or 7 states of consciousness. So as the 7 seals are being opened, when he's getting towards the end, one of the initiations or messages he's told is this concept of if you're lukewarm. In a way, Spirit tells John that's the most dangerous of all of the chakra blocks. To be lukewarm, to think I can really just live neutral. I don't have to be too spiritual, but I'm definitely not going to be like them. I'm just going to hang in the middle. There's no such thing. Every second of every day is a statement. I am or I'm not. I am that I am, and there's no doubts about it, or I'm not. And if I'm not as God created me to be, what am I? I'm daydreaming this concept of I'm an ego. I'm a personality. And then all the masks that the ego self creates. I'm a mom, I'm a single mom. I'm a black or white, or I'm this or that, or whatever it might be. The lukewarm concept is really amongst the top couple most dangerous of all the blocks in human consciousness. To be lukewarm. Step up. And the world is going through all kinds of things, and I promise you it's going to go through a lot more. This afternoon we're doing a workshop that people have insisted on. Predictions for the next 10 years. Fun for the whole family. The new game by, Hasbro or whatever. Milton Brothers or whatever those things were, Fun for the whole family. What a great way to spend the afternoon. It is actually. And it's all coming. There's more coming. And part of the purpose of the coming purges of the planet is real. And again, it's the mother. It's the mother not doing it to us, reflecting. How are you guys doing? We're lukewarm. Oh, sorry to hear that. And then here it comes. Things that are going to make us learn to step up and own who we are. Now, the way Christianity hears revelation, or the way people hear this concept, they're always, when it comes to these prophecies, it has to do with God is going to punish. Those are the words often used by especially Christian or religious seers, prophets, okay? God's going to punish. God punished Sodom and Gomorrah. God punished this group and that group. God punished the Israelites. God punished the Philistines, or whatever. God's like, what? What? I just read the paper. They have me having done things I never did. You know, holy news. And what? I wasn't even there. So that's not how this goes down. This is the mother mirroring our consciousness. Our lack of commitment means we're going to see the results even more dramatically of our lack of commitment, which looks like God punishing us karmically for a lack of commitment. It isn't. It's just us, as Edgar Cayce used to put it, meeting ourselves. Hi, nice to meet me. Oh, it really isn't. You know, I have all kinds of weird stuff going that and if you say, but if I only knew those issues, I would work on them. I have great news. Soon, you won't be able to avoid any of them. They're just going to be smack dab in your face. It's going to happen where people just like have nothing else to do but look at themselves. And it isn't a punishment meted out by God. It's the inevitable. We're going home. We've set this clock ourselves, not God. We set this clock. And God just said, okay, when are you setting your clock for? What year is it now? Oh, it's 5 billion BC. Oh, okay. Let's all synchronize our internal watches. 2012 is going to be a very pivotal time for you all. And by the time you get to another 10, 20 years later, it's done. Time is going to end as you know it, which, by the way, time's an illusion. So if time comes to an end, it's the end of time. Well, that's good news, isn't it? Because if it's the end of time and time's an illusion, it means it's the end of illusion. Well, geez, that's cool. That means we get to be in our remembrance again. Oh, no, it's not good. The ego's telling us it can't be good. You know what that means? It means death and destruction all over the world. God can't die or be destroyed. So when you start becoming afraid of the death and destruction coming to this world, it's actually your ego going, uh-oh, because it's going to end. The ego is going to be retired for lack of work. You have no place. It's like saying, you know what? It's weirdest thing just happened. I'm no longer interested in your opinions. It's cool. There's no fight. There's no Archangel Michael will swoop into the planet and spear some actual person called Satan or whatever. It's going to be like, no thanks. And it'll go to the next person, nobody's interested. And it'll disappear. That's all. It might say I'm melting as it does, but that's about it. It's just going to disappear. Every room you walk in, you're bringing a footprint, a stamp of your presence. Do you walk in holiness? Or is it always a problem? Is it always a scene? Always defensive? Always reactive? Is that the stamp you want to leave? Oh, you can tell so-and-so's been here. There's this like oppressive, dark energy in the room. Really? Is that what you want to leave? Do you want to walk out into your garden and just leave this, collateral damage? All birds fall from the trees as you walk by. Raccoons commit suicide. Like the deer drown themselves. It's like, is really? And you could go, well, I'm not that bad. Good, then how bad is it? You really own it. Lighten it up. How can I be the presence of God? You walk in perfect holiness. Not because of your figuring out what is perfect holiness, but because you surrender to anything that isn't. You surrender everything that isn't that holiness to God. Here it is. I don't know. I don't know how to feel more gentle. I don't know how to, and surrender it. But be open to the answer. Don't ever just enter meditation for silence. I mean, you can do it sometimes, but don't make silence your goal in meditation. On the other side of silence is the voice of God. That's one of the challenges with people that thought, oh man, I'm a great meditator. I can definitely be silent. And then what? Well, nothing. I just maintain silence. Yeah, but then God's going, hello, beloved. And you're like, shh. Talk to the hand. You know, and God's like, ooh, excuse me, man. See if you find me later. No, you know, you shut me up. I'm done. So it's on the other side of silence is the presence, the voice of God. So when we walk in perfect holiness, it helps if we ask that other voice, what does it look like? If I surrender my version of who I am, my masks, my identities, my stereotypes, my wounds, all those things we do, you know, this is my wound, this is my inner child, there's all these labels, all of them. Fine, there's a time when you go from not understanding anything to a time when you're looking at stuff like that. Wounded self, inner child, that's good for you. But eventually all those labels, some of them not healthy, some of them healthier. On the other side of all the labels is the I am as God created me. I mean, there is no broken child there to talk anymore. But I'm not dissing the child. The child wants to be God. It's the adult that's not letting that happen. So if you really care about an inner child, let it become what God created it to be. Let it grow up in a healthy, safe environment. You as an adult are responsible to create a safe environment for that inner child to come out. And if you don't, it stays scared and it's a part of you that's now broken, dismembered from yourself, dissociated from you. So remembering God means remembering my broken parts and then releasing them, not just remembering them going, oh, this is great because I wasn't aware of how broken I was. Now I am. I'm definitely all messed up. That it doesn't end there. On the other side of that, none of that exists. It's holiness again. And on the other side of silence is the presence of God. So when Santa Claus visits people on earth, you know, most people didn't, you know, report Santa Claus as being like a bummer. Oh man, how's your day? Oh, it was great until Santa Claus showed up. You know, the concept of Santa Claus, to bring happiness to children and adults, but happiness to children, you know, right? To bring, like St. Francis, his communion with animals. He brought no fear in himself, no anger. Therefore, when he walks in, the animals could not sense any reason to be afraid and run from him. It's like that, to become the peace of God, to become the presence of God. You know, it's one thing to enjoy the beauties of a Christmas tree, the beauty of a rainbow. It's another to become that thing. You know, like, wow. You know, when you walk in a room, when you've been in a room, people should feel something really beautiful has happened. Now, that doesn't mean it always works that way. You can Jesus himself, he's walked into a room sometimes and ticked off a lot of people. Truth can trigger people. But let's say that that's the exception to the rule. Generally, when you walk in, how was it? Well, you know, let's say you're a parent and there's another parent that you have to deal with because you're divorced. And, you know, your children, they take on. And I know people, you know, my kids, they're really stressed because the stuff and, you know, going on with my ex or me or us. You can have a different consciousness and they wouldn't be picking up all the drama. We would like to think that the children are victims, but they're not. You'd like to think your animals are victims. We can change the frequency of anything. You can go into a place where there was a battle or a horrendous crime, and there's a frequency people can feel. And the more that place happens to have been a little bit thinner veil between spirit world, I don't mean God, spirit, astral world, and the 3D world, the more energy can be stuck in that place. So, wow, you know, Gettysburg, how many tens of thousands of people died in a day or a couple days? That's horrific. But you know what? You could be sitting in your house resenting your ex and have just as much horrific energy as that battleground. Oh, no, no, no. My stuff's small in comparison. So is your house compared to a battlefield. It's all the same, really. How do I not bring a negative stamp? How do I enter this world and not plod through the mud with such a density and heaviness? Lighten up. I walk through, I'm in the mud, I splatter it everywhere. Everybody near me gets splattered, you know? And that's how some people are. They want to splatter. If I'm miserable, everybody else has to be miserable. Is that the stamp you want to leave? I remember one time I was on tour up in Alaska, and it was really cold there, but I always wear shorts, you know, swim trunks. And I mean, it's funny because I was walking from the center where I was doing sessions, and it was a break I was going to have. So I'm like, oh, wow, you know, there's a Pizza Hut just like a half a mile away. So I'm walking to Pizza Hut in my T-shirt and swim trunks, and it's like 100 below zero. And I'm going, you know, and this one guy rides his like little bike or whatever, and he's all fog, you know. And he rides by. He actually stopped and looked back at me and just sat and marveled like, you can't, is that a ghost? And I'm like, hi, wondering why is he stopping? And it took me a second to realize, oh, my reality is different than his, and he's disturbed by my reality. That day anyway, I was walking back to the house where I was staying, and I remember walking, and some people do this on purpose. They just went from the lane they were in a little to the side, just enough to take a giant puddle and wipe me out. No response, just keep going. And they're thinking, yeah, man, that's great. And I'm like, it's okay. And it is okay. People are going to try to do things. And it didn't really affect me internally, emotionally. But I noticed when I got to the house, my hands were frozen where they were. And I couldn't get the key to actually, honestly, and it took me like, you know. So you're going to have some effects. But what's most important is don't let it affect this. Your ability to love and forgive. Your ability to trust even in a seemingly untrustworthy world. This world is like that. But do you want to leave that negative stamp? Well, I'm not, but my ex or the guy that drove by, I know. But you'll turn it into a positive stamp if you can forgive them for the way they are. I don't mean enable them. Okay, Michael slapped my hand today and he said, forgive everybody. So I'm going to call that person, the mass murderer ex of mine. And, you know, I didn't say that. Don't pretend you're forgiving. Try to understand forgiveness as a process, as I've said many times. Refuse to hate them. Learn what you can learn from the experience and affirm that in them somewhere is a light made in God's image. If you can pull off those three things, you've achieved forgiveness, at least some degree of forgiveness. It's impossible to not feel a sense of forgiveness when you've done those three things, because that's all you need to do anyway. Okay? That's all you need to do. I refuse to hate. I have free will. No matter what you've done, I refuse to hate you. Like Viktor Frankl from Auschwitz saying, I refused to let these people have an effect on me. That's mastery. And you can say, oh, there's this spiritual guy. He can lower his heart rate with his mind. Ooh, did he forgive? He hates his ex, but he can lower his heart rate. Why be so impressed? The apostles, the disciples of Buddha that said, Buddha, you know, we've been following you and you're very impressive, Buddha. We have to tell you, that whole fasting thing, look at you, you've lost so much weight. It's great, you look wonderful. But there's this other teacher down a little ways around this lake. He can actually walk on water. And Buddha says, what a waste of energy. He could have just paid a couple of pennies to take the ferry. What did he mean by that? Why put energy into levitating or walking on water? Work on this, your own sense of peace. And Buddha's point was not just become like still, no, nothing else. You have to still go in the world and bring it. Bring a different stamp to the world. Don't think Buddhism is the pacifist thing that you think it is. He's talking about bringing it. He separates in a way his teachings from, here's my advice for everybody, and then if you want to be more committed, like disciples in a way, or practicing Buddhists, there's another level of rules, suggestions. That's no different than reading A Course in Miracles. There's the course and you're reading it. You're a reader and maybe even a student of the course. But there's a point where you say, now I'm becoming a teacher of the course, not a school teacher. It means a practitioner of the principles. The word teacher was just used, but he was saying wherever you go, you're teaching people. And you think, you mean 1 + 1 is 2? No. Everywhere you go, you are teaching people what you believe about yourself. When you bring a negative stamp, you're saying to people, I and all of us are in trouble. We have forgotten who we are, and we act out on each other. Every time you do it, that's your statement today. That's your stamp. Not so happy, not integrity, not partnership commitment, or whatever it is. And then there's another stamp that you can bring. Cooperation, love, appreciation. A couple of us went to a shop nearby. We just went and picked some things up for the center here. And we go there, every few months or so. And I just stopped as we were going out the door and told, there's a couple of people that work there regularly. And I just said, by the way, you guys, the vibe here, and they start with the gratuitous, like, oh, thank you. No. There's something about this. You folks not only have a nice place, you act as though you love doing this work. Like you love what we do. Now they're opening up more, like it's a secret, like, oh, we really do. Did you see it? Yes, I see it. Thank you, because you're mirroring that to me, and I really appreciate it. Now, you leave. That could soak in for 10 seconds, or it could be 10 days, or 10 weeks, or 3 months from now, or 6 years from now. They could be telling the story of some guy walking in the store, seeing them. I left something. How long they keep it is up to them, but I left an imprint of something, right? And even if I leave with an imprint of nothing noticeable, just thank you, exchange money, bye, you left an emptiness because it was an opportunity. And you left it unfilled with light, which means it's not light. There's no neutral like you think. There's light or there isn't light. Did you leave a lack of light? Well, I didn't cause it. I just didn't say anything loving and spiritual. And I'm not telling you have to go and give some speech. Just ask here, what is needed? At the very least, thank you so much. Okay, just like that. And it's not always understood. I called, on behalf of a few of us, we wanted to get some very, beautifully raw, organic stuff to have for lunch the other day. It was Domino's. But anyway, I called because some of the other people didn't want to call. And I called. And, after placing the order, they're like, okay, we got it. And it was a new person, you could tell. But, okay, got the order. And I said, and I just want to say thank you for so much for the order. Thank you for hearing what we asked for. And we can just tell, thank you, because you're going to make the order the way we wanted. It was great. But I got as far as, I want to just thank you, click. Well, what are you going to do now? Well, to see if I'm going to tip you. You denied God's presence today. No, that's not what we're supposed to be doing. And there is there is that abrupt, weird, oh. It was. It was there for a second. Like I was in the middle of thanking you, man. But what is your job when those things don't go the way you would have thought? Love them anyway. Right? Just love. Love, 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 love. So how do we leave a positive imprint? Be the energy, and it'll happen automatically. You don't actually have to walk in a room, walk into Safeway. Everybody hold still. I'm going to do a crystal prism in aisle 5. Crystal prism, ladies and gentlemen, crystal prism in aisle 5. Cleanup of bad karma, aisle 6. You don't have to go in and announce, I have come. I know you were shopping for your stuff, but no. No, I have come, and I am blessing and, holy water, on the fresh produce or whatever. You don't have to do that. First and foremost, are you that thing that you would like to see in the world? And I would hope you would say, I try. And some people don't like the word try because it's true, do or don't do. But I'm going to say there's a value to the word try. Are you at least making an effort? I do what I can. I do my best. People send, posts and emails and things. And sometimes they post these amazing statements. They actually see beyond, hello, Michael or team at the Global Center. I just wanted to say that was a great presentation and so on. You get those kinds of, it's just beautiful and plain, simple. But there's somebody once in a while that sees beyond all that stuff and says, wow. And immediately you realize they went deeper. They allowed themselves to see, feel, experience something deeper instead of here going, oh, that was a fine talk, which is beautiful because that's the level they're at. But there are some people that go like, wow, there's something supernatural happening. See? But if we don't leave that imprint vibrationally, how are they going to see it? And is it their fault? Well, they're choosing to not see it is their side of the responsibility. Did you bring it? And we have to ask ourselves that, did you bring that? Did you bring that to your children when they woke up this morning? Did you bring that? I mean, even when I've had challenges in a partnership marriage many years ago, I still woke up every day doing, like, I would say I scored a 9+ on a 10 scale of parenting in that sense. I mean, my kids didn't ever wake up or just go to sleep. Every night when they're going to sleep, I would go in there. There was an upper bunk, a lower bunk, and then a trundle like underneath bed. I'd go and lay in the middle of them all, one hand up on the upper bunk so that child holds that hand. This child's holding me here, and this child, contact with all of them, and then I would start channeling a bedtime story. Always. And it would have songs. I mean, it would just all come. Okay, let's see. Just like I do here. So, girls, what do you want me to do a story on today? Do fairies. Okay. Once upon a time, and it would go into a fairy story, and it would have these, fairies singing, and the colors, and they flap their wings, and the vibration, and then the ferns come to life, and it would go on, and just all kinds of cool things. That's just going to bed. Waking up, life, not get up. It's life. What are you doing to help make a difference and bring them to life? Now, I know you could say, but that's your children. That's not the same as at work. It's different, but it's the same. It's called content and form. In content, I'm the same. I meaning any of us potentially. In form, it varies. Yes, it's true. When I go and I'm a roofer, and we're out there, blacktop, putting tar on the roof, I'm not doing fairy stories. It wouldn't make sense to them. They'd throw me off the roof, tar and feather me. I don't know. It might not fit, but are you bringing it in that way, in your way, in that moment? Are you bridging? Father, Mother, God, how would you have me make a difference today? And always remember first answer is start with yourself. So don't okay, I'm ready. I'm going in, man. All these wicked humans, I'm going to change them. That's old school, and it's not healthy. It's not good. Start with yourself. What can I give up today before I even start my day, before I get out of bed? What can I give up today? Fear, resentment, anxiety, doubt, depression, whatever. Give that up. And then start it with filling up with the presence, peace, happiness, joy. Fill up with something. And then take that in to the world. Now, some days you're going to go, dang it. I did bring it. I swear I tried. Here. 10, 20 things I did. And they were pushing back and fighting with me. Remember, some days you need to stop and go, I'm on the receiving end today. It's not what I'm bringing. I'm supposed to be rejuvenating. I'm not feeling good today. I'm feeling off. Everything's triggering me. Let me stop and breathe because really what I want is the peace of God. I thought I was supposed to be bringing the peace to others, but every so often you can be riding up and down the highway and pick up hitchhikers and, helping them out. I think that's great. But eventually you have to fuel up. Well, no, I thought the good karma of just giving people a ride was enough to be, and I do that when it gets snowy on that big hill over there. I do that sometimes. I'll just pull over and give these people, they're tourists that didn't expect snow in Arizona and, they're trying to make it up there. I'll just pull over and give them a ride. And, if you pull over, there's other cars coming. Oh, you put on your flashers or whatever. Do whatever feels right for you. But I pull over and give people a ride because it's the right thing for me, not necessarily for you, but it's the right thing for me. What are you doing every day to make a difference in people's lives? What are you doing to lighten their load? Practice giving always of a part of yourself, but only a part that feels it can afford it. As I've said, you've heard me say many times, smiles and whatever else. Money, gifts or whatever it happens to be. The world is a world of taking. The three-dimensional world that has been corrupted by the ego is all about I lack, which is ultimately the presence of God. I feel lack, I'm going to take from others to falsely fill myself. What I need used to be just a half a cup of coffee, now it's 5 cups. Once smoke became 3 packs, or whatever we do in this world. And that becomes the addictive world. And the whole genesis behind the whole process behind addiction is what? There has to be an emptiness that you're trying to fill. The filling it doesn't work, so you fill it again and again and again, and that's repetitive. That's addiction. You would think someone would go, I just realized it's never worked. It's never worked. People have had those epiphanies, right? It never worked. Now, sometimes you have to get in a program where they can help you see that it doesn't work, which is good. But you can also just come to grips with the fact that, you know what? I need to look at this for a moment. Hearing this talk, and I'm sitting and I've been married 20 times. And I'm still waiting for my soulmate. Maybe this isn't the solution. Or I used to get a little stoned, now I need to get majorly stoned. And yet, as the song Kicks from the 60s, kicks just keep getting harder to find. And he says, no matter what you do, you'll never run away from you. As soon as you come down, you're there again. No, but when I was stoned, I wasn't just me. I was make-believe things. Oh, that helps. Make-believe. It's fantasy. I want real enlightenment. I want real presence of God. Not fake, not manufactured, not drug diversions. The real thing. So again, be aware that everywhere you go, you're bringing a stamp, a footprint. You're leaving a footprint. I kind of think it's funny. There's people will occasionally post, here's our recent trip to Mars. And there's just junk everywhere. This is like even another planet. We just couldn't go without leaving a bunch of junk. There's just metal objects everywhere. Like it's bizarre. And I'm thinking, and I know the reason, there's excuses and whatever. You could at least gather the junk up into one location and use it as a recycling for later if people were to populate the place and want those materials. But just leaving junk all over, exploring the oceans, ships that, go across the sea and actually throw their garbage in the ocean. Why is it okay? Because nobody will see it. It's a big ocean. And then you have some, orca or a dolphin that drowns because it's all hooked in these things that we thought nobody would see. It's just bizarre. But that is not God leaving an imprint. That's mankind that is controlled by their ego. The ego doesn't care what it does to others. It doesn't leave the imprint. So wherever we go, how can I leave a positive imprint? And the best you can. You can go to a restaurant and they can have rude servers and so on. You can make a decision, I won't be back here. And that's not a negative imprint you're leaving. It's an unfortunate scenario, but you could still leave with love and forgiveness and decide not to be there. You can decide with love to not be in a relationship. You don't have to leave them hatefully. You can just say, this is no longer what I want reflected to myself. Love and forgive, refuse to hate, of course, learn what you can, and affirm the light of God in all things. But you can move on, give yourself permission. So we're going to close in a sec. Soak in this idea, the very idea, how do I do? How am I doing with this imprint idea? Am I leaving? Generally, do I leave? If I go to 10 restaurants in a week or a month, what portion, proportion of those did I leave a stamp that changed someone's life? And it's in all kinds of ways. Thank you, wonderful job. Oh my God. How do you do that job? You seem to always remember what kind of food we order or what, thank them, compliment them, and a tip, right? Whatever the case may be. So what's your proportion of your restaurants? How many days that you were with your children in 10 days, how many of those days did they leave with a better impression? Now remember, I'm not saying this to guilt you for not leaving. 9 out of 10 days with your kids left a positive imprint. What I would do is if I'm only leaving 2 times out of 10, I need to rethink things. Because maybe I'm too raw right now after a divorce to leave my children with a positive imprint. So I need to stay back a little more. I need to work on me because I will not go into their lives and leave a negative imprint. You're allowed to own that and say, no, I will not settle. If you're a performer, music, and all, if you're a performer or an athlete for that matter, what are you leaving? A positive imprint? It's arrogance that would make you want to leave anything but the presence of God. People should feel like something wonderful happened. And I think it's astounding. I love that. When I've met people and they go, who are you? Like, there's something about you. Oh, no, Michael. Michael, what do you do for a living? Oh, I'm mostly retired. Which some of you go, well, that's not honest. I don't care. It's the best answer in the moment because I am mostly retired. I no longer tour. And that was 80% of my hours of any week or month. So I'm technically partly retired. But why am I saying that? So they don't ask me who I am and what I do. You think I would do it the other way around? Hi, Michael Mirdad, and this business card. Come see us at the Global Center for Christ Consciousness Sunday every 10 o'clock. And you can join us at Eastern Time or live online. Be sure to donate. Seriously? Like, that's my hi. Nice to meet you. That's all you got? So I have always wanted my presence to speak, not name, reputation. I always wanted my presence. I wanted to make a difference and have them going, what just happened? I feel happier, or that person was kind. Now, there were moments when I purposefully or accidentally, but even purposefully didn't do it that way. I did it this way. Bring the light. First, like one of the first board meetings here when I came here 12 years ago, they were talking about this. There's a program where children in the area that don't have food are asking if anybody, the spiritual centers, would donate and help the children have food. And I was walking in and some woman came over to me and said, Michael, I'm just asking you, could you go into the board meeting and ask them if they would donate towards this food program for children without food? I'm like, well, I just got here basically, but why would they have not? I don't know. They won't help and they won't bring it up in their meetings. So I entered the board meeting and I waited till my turn to talk. And I went, I was approached by somebody that said there's this children's program and they're asking for money to help the children with no food. And maybe I'm mistaken or they're mistaken, but they said you guys aren't helping. Well, that's because there's this other person that asked us to help a charity that they're involved with. And we're waiting for them to get the paperwork together to see if we were going to vote on that because they have senior. They get first call because they were there first. I said, how long have you been waiting? Oh, several months. Now watch. It's not like, let's all hold hands and sing We Are the World. No. Really? Now here Michael goes from, and then, really? Call the guy that says he wants us to help his program. He has till noon tomorrow to present his papers and his materials, and then we'll help him. After that, the children are going to get our money. They're going to get our donations. And this is what I said. And I said, and let me make this clear. We're going to get those children food. Unless one of you figures out where I live and you can come to my house in the middle of the night, crawl in my house and kill me in my sleep, we're going to give those children food. And inside I'm like, I like this. This is fun. But outside, you hear me? And they're like, we got the wrong spiritual leader, man. He's just so mean. No, I'm not enabling. And you can hate me for not enabling. And I don't care. That's the way it's going to be. You have something tangible in front of you, man. Let's make a difference. And we did. Oh my God, man. Just, flooded this situation. One time there were kids looking for scholarships. Musicians. These people act like, we don't care about musicians, They want the academic world to be the important thing in the world, which is the least important, but that's, never mind. The musicians, these kids, the creative essence, and their families don't have money and they can't go to any kind of art school. And they're like, can you try to raise 10% of one scholarship for one child? And we'll try to get 10% from 9 other spiritual centers and we'll send one child. No! We raised money and we sent several kids, just our center. Several kids. And they sent us, thank you letters, and it was so cute, but we didn't do it for the letters. The point is, it's in front of you. Do something. And then you're making a difference forever. I mean, you think it might sound as simple as giving a little bit of food to the kids that don't have food in the area. Oh, it ain't that, man. There's lots more. There's the humiliation they live with when they go to the lines and kids are having lunch and they can't get lunch. There's that psychological scarring. There's the nutritional aspect of it. They're going to be affected by lacking nutrients. They'll grow up with the effects of those lack of nutrients. We're helping on all kinds of levels, not to mention the spiritual level. That you helped a child of God feel valuable, that they matter. People would say, oh, Michael, you have such nice hair. Just about that time, I'll say, really? All right, cut. Just chop it off and donate it to children when it's long enough. Donate it to children where they make wigs for children with cancer. Why not? Is somebody going to say, oh, no, you looked better with your hair long? Who cares what I look like? Some child is out there wearing a glorious wig. Why wouldn't you give what you can? And if you have 3 cars, there's a family that doesn't have a car. Well, I don't know where they are. Drive the highway. You'll see them walking to work and so on. Just use a little imagination. Show up and you'll be shown where you can be helpful. But it isn't just giving them the car. Help them feel valued. Help all people feel valued. Why? Because it's a nice thing to do. Sure. It's good karma. Sure. But it's also the truth. We are actually all valuable. In the ego world, you're not permitted to say that. You're not permitted to demonstrate it. It's considered, you have to let them, it's their car. I've had people do that on me. They go, oh, Michael, I don't know. You talk about helping people, but my Swami so-and-so said, you have to let them live out their karma. I say, well, tell Swami what to do with that. You are not being the presence of God. How good is that for God to go, well, they got themselves into this. God has a divine plan for our awakening. And although it seems like it takes a lot of time, time's an illusion. There is this wave of light from Spirit since the day we thought we separated, calling us home. And when we step into it to become light workers, when we step into that, hear the request and take action, you're making a difference in people's lives with it. It's so beautiful. You are being the presence of God in the material world. And there's nothing more we should even be asking for, to be the presence. Let's take a few centering breaths. Hear the words, I am, when you inhale. At peace when you exhale. You're owning those words. You're commanding lovingly that this is your reality. I really am. I am at peace. And again and again. Think of challenges in your life, this day, this week, this month, this year. Just be aware of them as though they're standing before you and just say, I am at peace, and disperse them. You have no place here. I am at peace. Think of any time recently you had doubts about something that was good, positive, whatever. Your health issues, a date, whatever. Just, I am at peace. You're affirming the presence of peace in that situation. It's the truth. I am not only at peace, I am peace. The presence of. I just forget sometimes. I am as God created me. I will to be the Christ on earth. I'm not just a light worker, passive, beginner. I am a light worker. I am a light worker. Not a private, more like a general. I am a light worker here, making a difference wherever I go. And when I slip, a light worker will forgive themselves. I am as God created me. I will to be, and that means I choose to be. I will to be the Christ on earth. Let the music fade away now, and let's ourselves. Just a hum. Keep it going. You breathe when you need to. Keep it going. I am as God created me. That means the tone that I'm letting out right now is not a sound. It's a presence of consciousness that is emitting out into the universe, starting with my own body, space, room, nation, and around the world and throughout the universe. Keep going. Keep going. And while they're doing that, gentlemen, add, while they're doing that, holy, 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 love on the last time. Keep going. Holy, 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 holy. Good. Holy, 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 love on the 12th one. Keep going. A little louder now. Holy, holy, holy. Keep going. Love. Ladies, love, 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 love. The gospel in one word is love. Love thy neighbor as thyself. Love, holy love. Again, everybody. Holy, 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 holy love. Again, louder. Keep going. Holy love to the world. Love, 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 love. The gospel in one word is love. Love thy neighbor as thyself. Love, holy love to the universe. Love, 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 love. The gospel in one word is love. Love thy neighbor as thyself. Love, holy love. Deep breath. Back to a tone, but out our mouths, not humming. Oh, good. Oh, keep it going. To the whole universe, the sound of peace to everyone. Keep it going. Oh, keep it going. Send that frequency to people that are afraid. Send it to political leaders. This is the sound of love of God. It says, be at peace, be still and know the I am presence of God. It says, I am as God created us, and so are you. And we are the presence of Christ on earth. Continue hearing the sound. All angels joining with us, toning with us, masters. And then there's no sound, there's the effects of the sound. Breathe in. It reverberates and comes back to us. It's not a tone I'm doing. It's a message that I am. It's a statement of what God is, I am, we are. God is but love, and therefore so am I. Very gradually, come back into the room, back to the body. Wherever you go, you leave an imprint. So what's the imprint you're leaving? When you garden, bring the presence of God to the things you're planting. The presence of God into the things you're planting, it becomes nutrients you know not of when you go and eat those foods. You know, the raising of children, bring it as much as you can, the presence of God. Make a difference. Make a difference. Where can you bring a difference? And sometimes it's playful, sometimes it's musical, sometimes it's wit, sometimes it's prayer, sometimes it's a hug. You know, really, it depends on how your tool belt, how the breadth of your tool belt. Are you willing to only just one-dimensional how you bring it, or are you open to whatever's needed in the moment? Just that's up to each of us. Some of us say, I don't feel confident enough to speak words of help to people, but I will do prayer. Do whatever you can do. Sometimes, you know, the world can be so serious. We want to make a difference. Then bring a difference. Be the difference. My children, you know, they went to private schools here and there. They did public school for a few years and then a couple of different private schools. But a couple of the years were in Catholic school. And that was fun because they were so serious, you know. But, you know, I'd get complaints. Like one teacher was like, you know, your daughter, she's telling the kids she sees angels and, you know, in the room and so forth. I'm thinking, that why is that a problem? Why am I sitting here with Mother Superior being reprimanded because my child sees angels? Isn't that weird? But I didn't say anything. It's just like, really? Her, those angels. What am I going to do with her, you know? But one of my favorites, which I've shared before, was I came in and there was this one kid who was always in trouble. Funny thing is my daughter ended up marrying him for a year. But anyway, he was always in trouble, and he's in the hallway. And stories you've heard, he's like with a little brush scrubbing the stairs, you know. And I go, what's going on? Oh, I got in trouble again. I'm like, really? You know, how long you been here? Well, 2 hours, you know. And he's doing all the stairs. I'm like, you want me to get you some McDonald's? You know, I went and got him something to eat, you know, brought him, you know, something, you know. And, you know, and it's like, make a difference. Now, of course, the certain people didn't like me helping him. But one of my favorite moments was the kids, when I would come to pick up my kids, they would say, Jesus is here. And so he was talking to another kid when I got back with his food, and they go, oh, look, Jesus is here. And here he is in trouble, right? Paying for his sins. And they go, Jesus is here. And I said, that's right. And your sins are forgiven. Now that came back around later, you know. You can't be coming here and telling the kids their sins are forgiven. Oh, but I can. So, then we were in Waldorf next, you know. We had to make our way around all the different schools. One problem or another. Angels and, you know, whatever else. Anyway. So thank you. Thank you for everything. I pray that you really felt the frequency of what we were sharing. Sacred reading, prayer, everything else we did. The message, but the meditation. We're going to take up our collection and do our closing prayer. Please be as generous as you can be. Always. You know, this is to some degree or another, it's a spiritual home, it's your spiritual family. Just support us as best you can. Make it a commitment to make this a priority. Give a portion of your earnings to help out. And then separate from that, also when you have a smile or something to share with other people in the world, absolutely do that. As you raise your prosperity consciousness by giving abundantly as you can, you'll have more to give and you'll see how much more you can help other people. Even if the topic is smiles, you'll find, share some, you'll have more to give. Patience or whatever else the topic is. We breathe in a sense of gratitude, all that we experienced today, and that we get to reciprocate, even if it's just a prayer and not donations or money. If we don't have it on us, it doesn't matter. Give a thank you. That's all the money is. It's a token of gratitude. Feel that gratitude. I bless these funds. I bless them. They come back to me. They go to others. We all become greatly abundant. Divine love flowing through me blesses and multiplies all that I am, all that I have, all that I give, and all that I receive. And so it is. If ever you think that I exaggerate when I tell these stories, like with my kids, just ask my kids. Oh, they have ones that I've forgotten, but they're all true. So while they're passing the baskets and such, a couple of quick things, everyone. This afternoon, we've got a free presentation. It's really for people on our mailing list, but it's open. If you're here, you can watch it. You can just stay and watch it live in person. But it's also a way to keep it somewhat private. I don't want to go, have one of these things go viral, which is counterproductive. You think that when you're a teacher and you have a project or a business or a book, you want these things to go as far as you can around the world. I don't. I'm not an ambitious person. I'm happy as I am. So it's the way it is. So we do these things privately. All right? So we're doing a private presentation this afternoon. But it is on the state of the world where we're going for the next several years, okay? Also, November 24th, Thanksgiving, it'll start a 4-day workshop on awakening Christ consciousness. I'll be doing that here on Thanksgiving as well as for the next few days. You can ask for more information. We have flyers about that, okay? I appreciate that people are starting to arrive a little earlier. Try to arrive 5-10 minutes to the hour. Then you can join us in our opening songs together and all that before the hour where we start. Just a few minutes, make sure you're on time. And remember parking. Our parking lot's a big parking lot. We fill it though. And there's an empty parking lot at the bank across the street. We have permission to use that place on Sundays. Don't park in other people's driveways or on the street. Don't do that, all right? And if you're on social media, thank you for being with us around the world. Share where you can, sponsor us if you're watching this on YouTube, do all the things that, help to network, but share it with people that you think will be into it. Don't just, please don't send it to your mother or your sister-in-law, fundamental sister-in-law, just send it to people you intuit are open to it. That's how I am about things. I'm not here to convert anybody. I like to just share with people that are reasonably nice. All right? All righty. Please stand for our closing prayer.
Michael, what time does the event start this afternoon?
Around noon.
About 12.
Yeah. Before we cut you all loose, how do you feel? Can anyone wave a hand and share what you learned or heard today that made the most sense to you, that made a difference? Yes. There's no neutral. Uh-oh. Yeah. Yes. Leave sparkle wherever you go. That's right. Yes.
I just want to say thank you for the gifts, for the presents that you give to me.
Thank you. You're welcome. He's thanking me for the gifts that I give and that we give. Yes. Yes. Leave us a footprint. Leaving the presence of God wherever you go. Absolutely. Isn't that good stuff? Yes. Giving and receiving love. It's the same thing. Wherever you go, bring it. And you'll be it. The world teaches you to give so that you can get something. No. Share your abundance of it. It affirms your abundance and then you'll have more. But it looks like you gave and it came back more. That's not actually what's happening. When you give, you're actually giving from a state of mind that says, I actually have an abundance to give. And that affirmation makes you have more. The human world wants to think of it their way, but it's a statement of abundance. And where do you live? Yeah. Come here. Say hello to your family back in Alaska.
Hi. Hi, Mom. I know she's watching.
Pretty cool, all right? Thank you, sweetie. Appreciate the Jesus shirt you have on. Say, we embrace it all. She's got like some Metallica kind of heavy metal shirt. But that's all right. No, I think it's beautiful. It's good. Good. Say hello to your family. Anyone else? What you learned or heard today? Yes. Nice. Nice. Came in feeling kind of drained, but you got this concept of look at where you've been. Look where you are now compared to where you've been. And you see a difference. It's beautiful. Yes. The 3 steps to forgiveness. Refuse to hate, learn what you can from the experience, and then affirm the light in the other, that there is a light of God. And I've got that book I've written called The Book of Love and Forgiveness. That's in there. And then other things, obviously, about forgiveness. All right. And I got to ask, the meditation. People ask online, they'll say, and we've commented with people online, they're saying, people don't usually make a comment about the meditation. And I say, and it's the truth. Sometimes they're actually still processing it. But we are a little more shy about that, what we get like from the meditation. So can anybody share just a word or two on that? Bliss. Presence of God. Peace. What is it? Oneness. Unity. Power. Presence. Nice. Isn't that good, man? Isn't that wonderful? Be in that presence and then shine. You're a shining star. Remember the chant at the end of the song. Shining star for you to see what your life can truly be. Shining star for you to see what your life can truly be. Right? Just perfect. Let's do that. Let's bring that to the world. Deep gratitude. The light of God surrounds us. The love of God enfolds us. The power of God protects us. And the presence of God watches over us. Wherever we go, God is, I am, we are, and so it is. Well, peace be with you all. Bye-bye. You're welcome.